been noticing lately a lot of young women talking about how, like, they're in their 20s, they're in their 30s, and they're talking about how they are still single, they're not married, they don't have kids, and a lot of them are, the sense I get is that they're like super worried that that's going to be their life for the rest of their lives, and also really sad about it. And it made me realize what I was like when I was in my mid 30s and what I'm like now, and essentially what changed. Like, what, because I wanted those things that they're talking about, all the way up until like my mid to late 30s. And then it's not like a flip switched, but I definitely started growing out of, I want to say, like, what society wanted me to want, if that makes sense. So let me tell you the story. In my late 30s, up until this point, like, I'm still not married. I don't have kids. I've dated. I've been close to being married, but never happened. Excuse me. So coming into my late 30s, I was with a really good friend of mine. We were having coffee. This is someone I've known probably the longest in my life that is not related to me. So my friend and I were sitting around. I was back from one of my trips because I travel a lot. And, she's asking me all sorts of questions, and I'm sharing all these things I'm proud of. Like, I took this trip this year, and I went and I got this new job, and I did this and I did that, and all of it. Like, it was amazing. I got to dive with whale sharks and whatever, like, amazing stuff, right? And she asked me, because everyone always asks, cool, are you dating anyone? And it's a question I've gotten my whole life. Are you dating anyone? Do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? And she's amazing because she doesn't, how do I say this? Like, she totally agrees in my weird, crazy life. Like, it doesn't bother her, or it doesn't matter to her whether I'm dating someone or not, whether I'm married or not, whether I'm have kids or not. It's just, that's the question everyone wants to know. Like, that big milestone. Are you dating anyone? Are you gonna get married? Are you gonna have kids? And we started talking about it, and she said something profound that kind of changed the whole way I thought about all of that. And she said, because I started saying, like, no, I'm not dating anyone and this and that. She's like, well, do you want to have kids? And I said, I don't know, I think so, eventually, blah, 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 and then I say the thing that everyone's thinking, which is, I know I'm getting older. I know I'm kind of reaching that age where, like, it's not impossible. You can still have kids well into your 40s, but it can get harder. And so I'm saying all this because I know these are the questions she has in her brain. And she goes, well, if you really want kids, you can have them. You don't need a partner to have kids. And I've known this. I've inherently known this my whole life. Like, I'm all about women. If you really want a child, have one. Like, so I've known this. I've known this information forever. But I never thought of it for myself. And I realized I don't actually want to have kids. Like, having a kid is not on my bucket list. And I realized I was always thinking I was going to have kids because that's kind of the order of things, right? I was going to get married and I was going to have kids and I was going to be a mom and I was going to be a wife. And that was just going to be, that was, the dream life. And so I spent a good part of my 20s and some of my 30s thinking I hadn't reached the pinnacle yet because I hadn't accomplished those goals that were written somewhere by someone and then like injected into all of our brains that that's the goal of life, is to get married and have kids. So from that conversation, I started to really like unwind all of these things that I thought I was supposed to do or that I needed to do in this lifetime to be happy or to be successful or to fulfill the dream life, right? And it really made me start to focus on, well, what is my dream life? What does my dream life look like? Because my life has not looked like anyone else's I know. And I'm slowly starting to meet people who have similar lives like mine, but everyone I grew up with, pretty much everyone I know from my childhood and my teenage years, even college, they all have or have lived somewhat like the life that involves marriage and kids. And since mine has never looked like that, I am like this super outlier, like super black sheep, just, and I think nobody really understands it and nobody quite gets like why. And then of course society is like, oh, something must be wrong with you. She must be a bitch, or she must be, I was gonna, like, terrible, like, at something. Maybe she sucks in bed. Maybe she's a terrible cook. Like, whatever, like, stereotype you want to put on it. I'm sure people have thought it. And what's actually happening when I started excavating all those reasons why I wasn't married and having a kid. First of all, I already said this. I didn't have a kid because I didn't really actually want kids. I think I thought I just had to have kids because that would somehow fulfill me. That would fulfill my life. And after that moment in that conversation with my friend, when I realized I didn't really want to have kids, I was like, okay, well, I still want a partner. I still want to meet someone and be with someone. And I don't know if I really want to get married. I feel like there's a lot of paperwork involved that just doesn't mean shit. It's like for tax purposes. But yeah, I want like a partner to like live this life with and experience this beautiful, beautiful experience with. And so then it kind of turned into this like, well, why can't I find him, or why haven't I found him yet, and all this stuff. And the reason for that is because everyone I have dated prior to this, and even after, everyone I've dated wasn't meeting me where I was at. What I mean by that is that I want this big, beautiful, adventurous life. I want to travel with someone. I want to live on different continents for different parts of the year. I want to build things together. I want to create things together. I want to laugh and just have joy and fun. And yeah, I want this big, beautiful life. And a lot of the people I was dating they wanted a big, beautiful life too, but they wanted it differently. You know, some don't want to move from the place they live. Like, people look at my life and they're like, oh, it's so cool, you travel so much. But then, you know, I start dating them and start talking about travel and like, hey, where do you want to go next? What do you want to do? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, I can't take that much work off. And I'm like, okay, well, how can we adjust your work or adjust your life so that you can take more work off? And then that's where like the conversations just start going downhill, because they're like, well, no, I'm not going to change my work, you know, situation, or I'm not going to change my life, you know, I'm not going to move. Why would I move? I'm like, because I want to. So I was dating a lot of people who wanted me to change for them, but they didn't want to change for me. And with that, I realized too, like, I was trying to date people for their potential, and I wasn't dating them for who they were actually showing me they were gonna be. So they could tell me all their dreams and all these things that they wanted to do and places they wanted to travel and things like that, but then they weren't actually like living that life. They were just dreaming with me. So again, I was just dating the potential of what it could be and not what it actually was. So with relationships, I realized I was settling, and I kept settling. I kept dating someone and then settling, and then realized I was settling, and then, you know, moving on and moving on. And over the years, especially in my late 30s, when I had this revelation about children, I realized, like, I don't want to settle just to have someone who may or may not travel with me, or who may or may not enjoy the things I like. I'd rather be alone. It's so much easier to travel solo and to work random jobs as a contractor randomly around the world than to be dating someone who only gets 2 weeks off a year from their work and has no desire to try to change that and build a life with me that involves creating stuff all over the world. So once I had that realization that being solo was a lot easier and more freeing, I started to lean into it. And I thought I would be super lonely because, again, in like my mid 30s and stuff, when I wasn't finding the partner, when I wasn't having the kids, I was really lonely. And I think it's just because I thought that's what I was supposed to have. And so I was lonely because it was like that mindset of, I don't have this yet. When is it going to come? What's wrong with me? What did I do wrong that I don't deserve, you know, the partner, or I don't deserve the family? What's wrong with me? And as soon as I got past the kids thing, and then again past the settling for the wrong partner and being solo and really leaning into it, I realized, like, there's nothing wrong with me. This is just who I am and what I want. And my dreams are so big that I can't shrink them down to fit in a life with someone who's not willing to dream that big as well. And so being solo and being in my solitude, I've had so much space and time to really dream and to really work on myself too. Because that's the other thing, is I realized, and this might be a Tony Robbins thing, to be wrong, but it's like, I don't think this is Tony Robbins thing, so don't quote me on that. Basically, like, I heard this guy once say, write down everything you want in a partner. Like every good thing you want in a partner, write it all down. You know, I want them to, you know, do the dishes or do their own dishes at least, or they're kind, they're attentive, um, they like to go to the gym, they like to eat healthy food, they don't drink, they don't smoke, they love their mother, or whatever, write it all down. And then at the top of the list, put your name and become all of those things. Because how are you going to attract the partner you want if you aren't already the partner you want to be for yourself? And so that realization also has spurred me into becoming the person I want in my life for myself. Because how am I going to attract someone who loves to go to the gym if I don't love to go to the gym, or drinking alcohol, I feel like, is a huge one these days. So many people are going sober, and it's like, I can't even imagine. I'm not sober. I still have a cocktail here and there, a glass of wine here and there, but I can't imagine dating a guy that drinks, 5 drinks a night. Like, that's not the person for me anymore. And not necessarily that was the person for me before. I'm just using examples of, like, if I'm not willing to change, then how am I going to find a man that's right for me, who's at the same level as me, who wants the same things, and who has the same goals, and who does the same thing, meaning, like, lives a similar lifestyle, travel, being healthy, all that stuff. So with all of that said, I just realized today, seeing all this stuff kind of popping up on Instagram and TikTok, and these women being super kind of downtrodden about where they're at in life, and just realizing, like, I was there too. I was totally there and totally just grieving this life that I didn't have. And once I had those realizations, realizing that wasn't the life for me. I'm building the life for me. And again, hopefully it involves a partner one day. But also, I'm not going to settle for anything less than great. So as long as I'm doing the things I love, becoming the person I love, I already love the person I am, but, becoming a better version of myself, then that's enough for me anyway. So that's my story for today. Bye.